Genetics is the study of genes. The word gene was invented in 1911 to describe units of information that encode traits, biological characteristics of an organism. Today, we know that genes are special DNA sequences, but back then, no one knew what they were made of. For early geneticists, a gene was immaterial, like a recipe written in a cookbook. Genetics is also the study of heredity. A gene only exists if the trait it encodes is transferred from generation to generation, very much like family recipes that are passed on from parents to their children and grandchildren. Geneticists are thus always interested in studying the outcomes of reproduction when a male and a female give copies of half of their genes to their offspring. What really makes genetics so interesting and important is genetic variation. As geneticists rapidly discovered, two mechanisms were causing genetic variability. First, mutations, accidental changes in the instructions that make up genes. The fact that mutations exist means that the same gene can have variants, called alleles. The usual allele for a gene found in nature is called wild type, and all others are called mutants. Most mutations are damaging. Misspelling tomato into potato in a pizza recipe will ruin the dish, if not the whole pizzeria business. But occasionally, a mutant becomes a success story. Potato chips, chocolate chip cookies, and tarte tatin were all invented by making mistakes. No wonder geneticists are interested in mutations. The other mechanism of genetic variation is sexual reproduction. Children are created by adding genetic material of a male germline cell, a sperm, to a female germline cell, an egg. Germline cells carry only one set of all the genes of a species. These are haploid. All other cells are somatic, not passed to children, and, at least in females, they carry two copies of all the genes. They are diploid. In other words, a trait is defined by at least two alleles of the same gene. That's true for monogenic traits. Other traits are defined by multiple genes and twice as many alleles. It's like following two recipes for each dish that composes a meal. And that's where the magic of genetics starts, as some alleles are dominant, like garlic in one recipe, and others are recessive, like having cheese instead of garlic. All kinds of variations become possible as different recipes can be mixed to make the same dish. There is more to it. Children are not simply intermediate versions of their parents. With the exception of identical twins, we are all unique. We owe this to the fact that our parents have given us only some of their genes, and these genes are organized in new combinations. We are all natural recombinant DNA organisms. Of all biological sciences, genetics has had the most impact on our society. It raises a fundamental question. How much of what we are and what we do is the result of our free will and behavior, and how much is determined by the genes we have inherited? This question has many interesting answers.